This story is called My Angel Had Feathers. As I started to wash the breakfast dishes, I smiled when I realized I had the whole day ahead of me. Without plans, with a large family, my days are usually hectic. Having the whole house to myself would be a rare treat. I decided I would have a lazy day. The chores, after I finished the dishes, I would go with the flow. It felt so good not to have plans. I settled into the recliner and had a huge mug of coffee and propped up my feet. After watching several morning talk shows, I decided to get some fresh air. It was such a beautiful warm November day. Standing on my backyard deck, I looked toward the sky, closed my eyes, and let the warmth of the sun caress my face. I took a deep breath of the late autumn air and thought how blessed I was to have my family, my health, and this much needed time alone. It was too pretty outside to go back in the house, so I grabbed a book and I just started reading the day before. I challenged myself to finish it by the end of the day. Sitting out on the deck was the perfect spot to read. Living in the woods with nature as my only neighbor gave me the peace I longed for that day. As I read, I was serenaded by birds and chattering of squirrels. As I scampered and rummaged through the dry leaves, looking for food to hoard before winter, my eyelids began to get heavy. Suddenly I was startled from my dozing when I realized how quiet it had become. The birds had stopped singing and the squirrels seemed to have frozen. Even the gentle breeze had ceased to blow. It was unusually still and quite eerie. Then the silence was broken by a screech of a bird. Her sound was loud, high-pitched, and desperate. I looked up to see a hawk in the large tree right behind my deck. She was flapping her wings frantically. I called out to her, "Calm down, it's okay." But she was relentless. I looked all around me to see if she saw something. There was nothing around, and she was looking right at me. Being an avid photographer, I thought I should take some photos of the hawk. And the hawk was surely putting on a show. I can get great action shots, I thought to myself as I went inside to get my camera. I wasn't even in the house for a minute when I heard a loud, crashing sound outside. I ran outside to see what had happened. To my horror, a huge limb had broken off the tree that stood by my deck. It was the very limb the hawk had been sitting on. I stood there in total disbelief. The fallen limb was huge. It crushed the deck, the picnic table, and the chair I'd been sitting on. Moments before, I looked up to see the hawk was now sitting on another branch. We made eye contact, and I whispered thank you to her. She seemed to acknowledge me, and then she flew off. Her job was done. The evening came when my family came home. One by one, I gave them each a hug. I'd been grateful for my alone time that morning, but that night I was more grateful to be surrounded by my large, busy family. The end.